So, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the first virtual CEO Roundtable by MedicinMan in association with CredoWeb. Today, we will really have a deep insight into how challenging it is to run a pharma company in these challenging times. So I look forward to a wonderful discussion with all of you. And this being virtual again, it's going to be seen by thousands of people because thanks to CredoWeb, our partner, it's being broadcast free of cost. So even the students will get an opportunity to view this CEO roundtable for the first time. And it's a great pleasure for me to present this CEO roundtable. Dr. Peter Velev is a formidable person. He is a medical doctor, a gastroenterologist by training, and he has worked in very senior positions in the pharmaceutical industry for many years. He is also the CEO of Ecopharm, a prominent generic player in Bulgaria. So he has had interaction with Indian pharma CEOs for more than 20 years, and he's the founder of CredoWeb. And we're very thankful to you, Peter, for the support that you have given for enabling us to upskill Indian pharma sales and marketing professionals through Digital Excellence Pharma Academy.
Good afternoon. Our topic today is to discuss ACP's engagement in the new normal. We are living since 1 year in COVID era. This COVID era changed our private life, our professional life. The healthcare as industry was changed dramatically. Less patients visited the doctors. The doctors' behaviors change, of course. Most of them go digital for work, communication, and learning. The telemedicine is becoming more and more important for the daily practice. The digital was needed to be much more implemented in the daily life. New interactive formats were implemented. The pharmaceutical industry changed the communication model. Educational and insight-oriented content was the main part of this communication. Of course, using many digital channels, suddenly we are facing digital noise. Means that the HCPs are becoming more and more emails. They are invited for many webinars and different other digital activities. So that's why the industry has to change the model from push to pull channels. Unfortunately, COVID and the lockdown provoke late treatments of many patients. Many new launches of products simply delayed. We are having at the moment no or very few regional or national events. And so the pharmaceutical industry is facing more and more challenges. The main communication channel in the traditional model are the MSR's visit to the doctors. The offline visits are shorter and rarer and of course less efficient. Based on very recent survey, 70% of HCPs say face-to-face meeting will never return to pre-COVID level. What does it mean? We have to shift more and more towards digital. And now we are speaking about hybrid models of communication. And of course, the next step is to have smaller field force. Main challenges, speaking as a CEO of a company. The first one is how to respond to customers' expectations and adjust accordingly content and format. The second one, how to tackle the complexities of implementing a new model into the marketing, medical, and sales teams. Not easy game. Of course, who will be the winner? Good results require fast adoption. If we have a difficult communication, means the efficiency of engagement will go down. More and more, the personalized interactive communication is important for ACPs and their satisfaction, and of course increasing the engagement. Pharma needs to change the outdated approach. What does it mean? First, strategic decision. This is actually a political decision. Leadership and decision top to bottom approach. Of course, know-how is needed to choose the right technology and how to implement this technology in the daily business practice. And more, we are speaking about hybrid model. Means this model is not the future, it's the reality now. And this model is leading to enhanced engagement. How to implement the hybrid model is a big question. First, leadership vision. Second, management mindset. Of course, we have to motivate the workforce and to think about how to change the organization model. The implementation of the new technology is part of the whole story, retraining of the stakeholders, and of course, last but not least, reimagine the role of the MSRs.
So, welcome again to all our audience. So, here's Mr. Sankar Das. For those of you who have not heard about him, he's the CEO of one of the fastest growing Indian pharmaceutical companies committed to do ethical marketing. And Mr. Sankar Das has not only been an outstanding marketer for many, many years with Dr. Reddy's and now with Curatio, but he's also been a mentor to many people. I was surprised when Samish Menon, all the way from US, Samish is now the head for neurosciences for Europe for Takeda, and he shared how Mr. Sankar Das had mentored him and enabled him to grow in his career. So it's really wonderful to have you, Mr. Sankar Das, in this session. So let me set the preamble for our discussions today that COVID 19 has hugely affected the modes of interaction between physicians and pharma sales force. But as of February 2021, most pharma companies have restarted their face to face visits in spite of several challenges. So, we are going to look at what's keeping most CEOs awake, how to respond to customer expectations, and adjust the content and format accordingly, and how to track the complexities of implementation of a new model into marketing and sales teams, because we have been hearing about digital and hybrid models, and many research reports indicate that a hybrid model that includes face-to-face and digital interactions are favored by most respondent physicians. This is from our own survey that we have done in DEPA, which will be available to all of you very soon. The other challenge, of course, is that pharma plunged into doing digital, combining it with a traditional model, which got overused and created a lot of noise. So, against this background, a quick question to the two CEOs, Mr. Sankar Das and Tony Parmar. How have pharma marketing and medical teams adopted and accepted the new realities in your own company? So I'll let Mr. Sankar Das go first.
So thank you, Anup. This question of how far the medical and marketing teams have adapted to the new situation, I would say we are slightly better placed in the sense that our 15-member team taking care of this function, they are all less than 30 years. So they are all products of Narsimhaji Institute in Bombay, and they are just about 2 to 3 years old. There is always a rotation in our marketing team. So in a way, I am blessed. I keep getting a lot of new information as well as learning insights from the younger group. And I'm reasonably satisfied that the team is ready to move into a future world, which will be certainly digital. It cannot be only digital. And in this period of 6 to 7 months time, where the lockdown was almost about 80 to 90%, they were constantly engaging the field force. So, to a great extent, I would say that my field force also is what was slightly perceived as a little bit negative, that doctors will no longer need a medical representative going and meeting him or her, but it is going to be a digital marketing approach. That's what the field force was getting the vibes in the beginning during, let us say, April, May, June. But from that scenario, my marketing team actually shifted the sales force to looking at, of course, a couple of interesting internal experiments we did. All those things combined together, it certainly helps us to be future ready.
Great. I think that's a very important point that you have made, that I think you have a lot of millennials in your team. And we have Tony. Tony Parmar is a very old friend. I think we have known each other for 25 plus years, Tony.
Absolutely, close to 30 actually.
Close to 30, yeah. So when he was a bright young man in Boots Pharmaceuticals, many of you may not remember that.
I'm still young, Anup.
You're still young. That's right, yeah.
Of course.
So, and Tony is also leading company from East India, from Kolkata, among the top 100 pharmaceutical companies in India. Over to you, Tony, as to what are your experiences? How have your marketing and medical team pivoted to meet the challenges in this time?
Yeah, mine is a little different kind of a situation, because we were evolving as a company from a proprietorship to a professional orientation. So we had already added a disruption to the entire model. And then came this tsunami of COVID, and there was a tidal wave added to the tsunami we had already created. So I think it created a lot of fun, because it gave us a perspective of being in a whole whirlpool, and we were already trying to stay afloat there. Frankly speaking, I don't know what others will claim. All of us are still experimenting. We are still in the changing world. It's still evolving. We have not yet normalized, or the equilibrium is still not there. Every second month, there is a new perspective which is being created. I don't think we can claim that we have settled down to what people call as new normal. I don't want to use the word new normal. It's an evolving normal. So when it happens, it'll be a new normal. Now, how long that will take place, it's your guess versus mine. So as a company, what we have done for sure is, as it is, we were working our life cycle plan and moving from one set of skill sets to another. Only thing that has got accelerated is the digitalization in those skill sets. So while we were trying to evolve our systems and processes, we were trying to evolve a new culture. We knew that we had to go digital. We have put probably the digital onto a higher priority in the entire list. As far as the mindset of people are concerned, yes, that is something that we have been working on, both in marketing as well as sales, that the future is not going to be the same as in the past, nor at the internal level, nor at the external level. Now, what it is going to be, how it is going to be, we are still visualizing, like I just mentioned. We are only preparing ourselves for, as yet, an unknown future, only assuming some of the components of the future. So hopefully we'll fit the bill when it happens. We still don't know whether that will be 100% fitment or not. So I at least the initial response, I want to leave it at that.
Great. I think both of you have been candid in your responses, and that should be very useful to the CEOs, that how you have navigated in these challenging times. So, Silviya, you could share with me as to, you have heard the Indian CEOs and their challenges, and you could share as to how things are shaping up globally, how pharma in other parts of the world have been responding to this change in behavior by doctors. In some areas, the change in behavior is very strong. The doctors who were upwards in the technology adoption curve were quick to pivot and adopt telehealth or telemedicine and so many other applications. So I'm sure that there have been changes in European countries and other places where CredoWeb is present. What are your experiences with, and how pharma have responded to this changed behavior of doctors?
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you, Anup. Thank you both Mr. Sankar Das and Mr. Tony Parnar for these insights. Well, in Europe, the situation is a bit different. Companies' field force is not like the pre-COVID times. more and more hybrid interactions are taken into consideration. And basically, 2020 as a year, starting from March. In Europe, we do projects and operations mainly in Central Eastern Europe. They started very fast to find ways to adapt digital interaction. It was really a huge change in the attitude, because beforehand, the company's experience in digital was like one single project per, let's say, business unit per therapeutic area per half year or per the year. But eventually, the whole mindset has been changing very much in the direction that this collaboration, for which Mr. Sankar is talking, from the medical to the marketing through to the Salesforce team, needs to be really adapted. This is not the role only from the marketing or one person in the company, any digital guru or hacker or whatever, to try to let's say, be the one who is talking about digital interactions, but it needs to be realized, and of course it should be both top to bottom and bottom to top approach, that's the job for every person within the company. And on one hand, this is because of the reality. On the other hand, more and more doctors are sharing that they, of course, they would like to have face-to-face visits with their partners, with the stakeholders, with the MRs, the MSRs, the MSLs in a real environment, but mainly they're responding that mix of virtual and, say, traditional face-to-face meetings would be the main advantage for them. Basically, I think that the companies are listening more and more what the healthcare professionals are saying, and trying to really identify what's the benefit for them and what they really want to receive from every single interactions.
Great. So, Deep, you have been listening to three CEOs about the challenges of the traditional model as well as the challenges of digital adoption. So, what, in your view, Deep, are the biggest challenges in digital adoption?
Let me take you through this remarkable set of data with the last couple of months. MedicinMan and CredoWeb combined has done a market research, and we reach out to over 300 professionals from a very diverse background. So it represents the entire pharmaceutical industry in India, which means that a healthy composition of people from the leadership, C-suite, and the mid-level managers, as well as that you have multinationals and the Indian companies. So pretty good. A company with a larger sales force and company with a mid-sized sales force. So it kind of represents a pretty balanced view. So they listed about the 6 major challenges in digital adoption. And one of the top is going to be that the poor communication and the change management process. And anybody who has tried to, kind of without thinking or without strategizing, adopting, possibly might have not succeeded. So that's what that they look at first. The other thing is also very natural, the availability of right talent. Mr. Shankar Das point out that his team of 15 people, and most of them are below 30, and then last 2-3 years they are born in the digital era. But then the upskilling or reskilling the entire organization into digital is the big challenge. The other is, again, that you're looking at what we call it is a vendor-driven initiative, that you pick up something from here and there and force fit into your tactical plan. So that very poorly define the benefit and the key outcome. And that's another reason that our respondent has faced that. The Salesforce resistance is, of course, because again that it leads to a poor communication and the change management process. I heard Mr. Parmar talking about the leadership priorities, and of course, from outside we think that's the key or more important. But then internally, many organizations have a different set of priorities at this point of time. So how do you really balance it out? The last and also very important factor is that the availability of right talent external, which means who do you partner with? I think that Dr. Peter Velev talked about this, as you've seen that in US and that Europe, they try and develop their own things, and then they they saw that possibly there's a merit to have the right partner to take this initiative forward. So these are the largely the six major barriers and major challenges in the digital adoption that most of our respondents has spoken about.
So great, very clearly brought out, and I think we have to accept the wisdom of the crowd. And this is what 309 professionals from some of the topmost companies, the mid-sized companies, MNCs, domestic companies have expressed their opinions about. So, Peter, in this situation, Silviya, you can pitch in as well as to what do you think that pharma companies should be doing, to overcome these barriers to digital adoption?
The first thing is really to open the mind at the C level. This is political decision. So if the company is ready really to change the mindset, it seems difficult, but it's not so difficult. Because you not do this overnight, you do step by step. Of course, you have to have a proper partner who could, let's say, do this together with you and support your marketing, medical, and sales team in this process, because this is not a process, this is not incident. And I think that after the first and the second step, after the pilot project, you will see that this is absolutely nothing special, not so difficult as it seems like. And my very clear suggestion is, based on the very nice present, that 70% the success story is their own experience. So you could be fantastic educated, but without experience, it will be, let's say, very difficult.
Yeah, Mr. Sankar Das, you have seen the 6 challenges. I'm sure as practicing CEO, you would have some more challenges that you would like to add to that. I would first like to know your thoughts, because once we are clear on the challenges, I think the solution becomes much easier for us to go forward. And then after that, Tony, you could pitch in your thoughts on the challenges.
Thank you, Anup. Actually, no, I had also participated in this survey, what you have mentioned. And at the time, the structure of that questionnaire was very appropriate and suitable for me, till I happened to speak to or listen to a couple of doctors. Okay, one is Dr. Malpani at Bombay and gastrosurgeon. They pointed out about the priorities of the different stakeholders inside the pharma company. They did mention about, look, you guys, the pharma industry, you are maybe 20 or 25% of the whole healthcare ecosystem. But as a HCP, my priority is not what tool you guys are going to bring it to me or what that you are doing to me. My priority is my patient. And in a place like in India, when I am managing the patient, I am not only managing that individual called the patient, but also I am managing the friends and relatives of the patient. So this part of why I am not accelerating my pace. There are companies which feel sad that I didn't join their webinars or I didn't participate in one of the web-driven conference and all. Like that, they comment. But look, I am there not for pharma companies. I am there for my patients. So that's how the HCPs have given me a couple of comments on this front, which I thought I should also add to what you have said as the challenges.
Certainly. I think that's a very, very valid point. Unless what we are doing is of interest to the stakeholders, especially the physicians and patients who are going to be receiving the inputs of our digital initiatives, it will not really make sense. So I think we have done 2 webinars on understanding the customer journey, that's the physician journey, and understanding the patient's journey. So mapping these patient journeys is very important while adopting your digital. Your thoughts, Tony, on this challenges?
Yeah, sure. Very, very interesting area, because like I mentioned earlier, this is an evolving situation. And the first and the overriding challenge, according to me, and Mr. Bhandari very rightly pointed out the key challenges that we are facing as an industry. But I think the overriding challenge is the mind of the human being, the individual. Unless we first accept that there is a change which is happening, and we need to adopt and accept this change, nothing will work. Now, what it is, how much we want to accept, that is the second question. But the open mind to know and realize that the world of tomorrow is very different from the world of yesterday. Today is an evolution which is happening. Now, there's one phrase which I've been using in many of my talks and webinars. With your permission, I like to copyright that and use that here.
Sure.
Digitalization, or this change that we are talking of, and you know, as human beings, and the whole lot of you are very different, and I would consider me as a typical human being. We have this very, very innate quality of inertia. We don't want to change because we are in a comfort zone. So my phrase goes like this: from an optional peripherality, digitalization and this need for change has become a central essentiality. It was an option earlier. It was peripheral earlier, not very high priority. Today, it has become central and essential. How soon and how much we want to do can vary from individual to individual, from a company to company. But the challenge is there, number one, in the mind. Number two, in another problem, I'll tell you, what most of us as human beings and professionals tend to do. I'm sorry I'm using this term, but we get into this herd mentality and herd reaction. So it is herd, what everyone is doing, I want to do. Webinars, so everyone is into webinar. Telemedicine, everyone is into telemedicine, without realizing that you could individually or as a company be different from others. Second is we tend to react. And reactionary action is never, ever the best action. It's better to sit down, evaluate, decide, strategize, and then act. And that is something I think we will learn with time. We are beginning to learn. The lockdown was eased out. Everyone went into the field without realizing doctors and hospitals are not open for you. And then suddenly the companies realized, no, how can I go into the field when the doctors and hospitals are not there? So stop the field work again. I mean, why don't we plan, evaluate, and then decide what we need to do? So I think a proper understanding of the situation, and I've been mentioning this time and again, evolving situation. So you are not static. So you cannot have a permanent solution now unless you have stabilized as a marketplace. Now, that does not mean that we don't do anything. We can do something which is tactical, but the strategic element, whether it is phygital, whether it is more digital, whether it is traditional, will be better known country to country, company to company, only after a couple of months.
Great, very, very, very forcefully expressed, Tony. I appreciate, the flow of your thoughts. That we are all bound to inertia. I mean, whether it is waking up at a particular time, having our cup of coffee at a particular time, writing with a particular brand of pen. I mean, I had a great difficulty switching over to ballpoint pens. I remember when the fountain pens were there. Now, in my days, Mr. Sankar Das also will remember that we had fountain pens, and then the ballpoint pen came. It had a great convenience because you didn't have to do this filling up business every 2-3 days. But there was a great resistance because the smoothness of the fountain pen, and I think that's the same with the field force as well, is that at the end of the day they have been delivering results which the CEOs have wanted, have looked at, and I think with the disruption, it's quite a challenge. So the next question is that keep in mind the challenges of a CEO. He has to, he's accountable for today's performance, right? So you can call that short-termism, but that's a reality. He has to give today's results. So, and he has to use his resources judiciously, focusing on the need today to deliver results today. Therefore, use the traditional model. At the same time, he's also aware, as Tony so well brought it out, the future is not what it was. So he has to prepare for the future. So how does a CEO go about building the talent, the digital talent that you so rightly pointed out through the survey, whether internal or external, the talent is lacking. So how does a CEO sitting at this very influential position contribute to the developing of this digital talent in pharma?
Yeah. So I think that one thing absolutely clear, that digitalize or not digitalize is no longer a question, right? Now, The first step comes that people, those who are in customer facing role, and the people, those who are supporting those people, those who are in customer facing role, right? We need to develop in new ways to empower the sales force. Whether it is, that for instance, that equipping them with a digital arsenal, allow them to become more effective and focus their face to face activities on where it really matters. This is also, the SCP's perspective, which Mr. Shankar Das talked about, right? From their perspective, the kind of services they expect or they come to expect. This also means that challenge for a company, that how to really skill them up so that the customer facing people are there where, when, and how the physicians want, through the right channel, with the right content, in the right format, and the right time. We all know this. The issue is that all we learn from the experience. As we say that experience is the best teacher. And people don't come to the organization ready to handle everything, no matter that how talented they are. So if we say that self-knowledge is the foundation of success, then the right on the job experience is their building. Now, when you look at this, the framework, MedicinMan, CredoWeb, 70, 20, 10, holistic approach, one hand, you have something that which is the education-based learning, which possibly the webinar or various other interventions that provides them. And then the other hand is how do now I put it into practice by maybe designing. I'll pick up a lead what Peter talked about, that a small pilot project, right? And why the pilot project? Because in a way you are mitigating the risk, right? You are not creating the huge disruption at a point of time, but then you're trying to see how you minimize risk and maximize the learning effort involving your teams and things like that. So you design the right pilot project, look at that, what kind of measurements are required there in order to do that. The other part is that then how do that somebody can give you a continuous feedback or coaching so that whatever that you're doing is a deliberate way of looking at that. So this model becomes something that which is very important. And what's more important is that as an organization, that if you're trying to do something, it helps you to maximize learning while the minimizing your risk in terms of any kind of major changes in the setup. And thanks to Peter Velev, when you look at that, possibly this is one initiative. We invite people to really experience and build their, what we call it is a blended learning. In future, possibly CredoWeb will also be supporting in a very structured skill building initiative at all levels.
Right. Mr. Sankardas, your thoughts on how can pharma companies build digital capabilities while they need to keep the current operations going on? It's like repairing the aircraft engine while it is still in flight, and the CEO is the pilot and he has to do it, and definitely an unenviable task.
Yeah, so there are two things. One is in Curatio for me, there is a one situation brought in enabler. He is one of our board member. He himself is a person who has run a CRM organization, and that organization is still running. And his thoughts are always, as a board member, when he interacts with the marketing team, that's always calculated. But that's one blessing which we never planned. It happened in that way. But the most important thing is within our marketing team, okay, there are two very strongly, technically strong people who think that a digital operation and digital marketing is a fun-filled game. So that's how they operate. So they set the right type of climate. And the corona is now only 1 year old. But even before that, at least the very many programs where business heads who have sent this marketing team for different external training program or development program. all are related to digital marketing. Okay, maybe the Digistorm that happened about 3 years ago, or after that, the Viva program I saw in your write-up, liberally the Viva codes are getting utilized. So we have ensured that our marketing participates in all these activities. So even before Corona time and during Corona time, yes, a couple of our people had gone into Mudra Institute of Communications for a specialized program. So right from my side, we have always talked about why these digital skills are going to be major enablers. So one is coming from the board member, other one is myself. I am more tuned towards okay, we should be ready for the future, and the marketing team configuration where we have recruited one talent only for digital marketing initiatives from Indigene. We are relatively conservative in nature in terms of we don't go totally into whatever experimentation that they are suggesting, but we do go and ensure execution of one or two suggestions and choices that the marketing team makes. We totally fund that and ensure that it gets implemented and executed. So as we see successes, then one success will lead to the next success. So that's how I think we will get ready more and more to move into the future.
Great. Tony, your thoughts?
Yeah, sure. I like to start with some simile or analogies. And we all are sports enthusiasts. Let me go to the good old golden hockey days. India, even our neighboring country, excellent dribblers, excellent technique, and we were the world champions. And that was on the grass turf. And then suddenly, your domain or the battleground changed to AstroTurf. And we were the last, so bottom 1 and 2. Till we realized that we cannot stay put on our old glory. And that's when we started getting in foreign coaches, started buying out AstroTurfs, learned the new techniques. The other nation, I don't know where they are, but India is again in the top rankers. So adaptiveness, realization that I need to change. Let's come to cricket, which is, I think, so passionate with all of us. Old, good, technique-driven test cricket. Then you have the one day and the T20s. Same game, but different mindset. And I'm not saying different techniques, but evolved techniques. Right horses for the right turf. Now let's come to our own farmer. Disruption has happened. Whether it's positive, negative, we can cry over spilled milk. The milk has been spilled. We have to accept the reality and then do our own SWOT analysis individually. I've been using the term, we have to customize and tailor as per my individual or my company's needs. I heard Mr. Bhandari say that, and both Peter and Silviya have given a global perspective. We Indians are more emotive and social beings. Okay, now can we go 100% digital? As a company, do I need to go 100% digital? I think there's no one answer for all the problems across the industry. We have to do our own analysis. I heard Mr. Bhandari say upskill. I totally agree with him. But can all companies upskill? There are many companies which probably have not even skilled themselves. Okay, so you need to first skill yourself, reskill yourself, get into digital, and then probably grow upward. Upskilling, reskilling, these evaluations will have to be done individually, and only then can we move ahead. In Albert David too, like I told you, we had this challenge of moving from a proprietor-driven company into a professionally driven company. And now this wonderful, exciting challenge, I see it as an opportunity. I see it as an opportunity because it gives you a brighter future to look at rather than crib over what's happening now. So I think we need to reskill and upskill together, not forgetting the old traditional strengths that you carry forward, especially because we are looking at the Indian market, Indian industry, Indian HCPs. Another major focus, I think all of us need to learn more so from the multinationals. And when we met, I was one of the major multinationals, then known as Boots. Patient centricity is something which is going to take center stage in the near future. I think Peter and Silviya both mentioned that because that is something which has already happened in the Western world. HCPs also expect you to add value for every minute that you interact with them. And the value of the minute that you spend with your customers is going to be even greater. So we have to go better planned, better skilled, and better executed.
Great, wonderfully articulated. I couldn't have found a better way to end this roundtable conversation centering around India's two favorite sports, hockey, and how the shifting of the turf from the regular turf to the astroturf. It completely skewed the game against India's way of dribbling, and it was long passes and the power shots that determined who were the winners. And so too in cricket, we are saying that the old format is gone. And in the same way, I think something fundamental has shifted in the pharma, and CEOs are grappling with this. And Peter, you have in a unique position, as I introduced you. You are a physician, so you have seen patients, their challenges, and you have been a pharma entrepreneur, setting up a generic company in Bulgaria, and now a digital entrepreneur. I'll give the closing remarks to you as to what is really key for CEOs going forward to face this disruption effectively.
Thank you, Anup. I'm in India since 20 years.
Okay.
I saw how the things moved during last 20 years. I could only say congratulations, great job. And I'm absolutely sure that very soon implement everything what we're discussing much faster as you expect, much faster, because it's really only mindset. The other things you could manage, I'm absolutely sure. I think that there may be two things which are for me important. The first one is to take the risk to do a pilot project. This is not a big risk as Deep and Anu described. So, and then to have a person in the organization who will be in charge for these projects, project owner. So these are the two main things. So, and of course, this person has to be, let's say, able to report directly to you as CEOs of the companies, to really to be able in very visible future to implement everything what we described. I think the future is really bright, and then I will say that who will be the winner? The winner will be first who is fast, could accept the realities and see in the future. Thank you so much for this event.
Yeah, Silviya, I'll give you as the only lady on the panel, I'll give you the last word.
Thank you for this conversation. First of all, it is really nice to hear that both Mr. Sankar Das and Tony Parmar are sharing that within their companies really are working millennials with the need and the adaptive thinking that they would like to meet their customers' expectation. The fast is moving very quickly, and basically the solutions are here. They are not the future, I would say. The only thing that I would like to end the discussion is to really build this foundation together and lay the foundations from now on, because it's not the new reality, it's the reality which is happening right now in front of us.
Right. So exactly to the point, we are at 1 hour. Thank you so much for the precious time that you have given to us. So thank you, Mr. Sankar Das. You have always been there to support the efforts of MedicinMan, right, as you said, from Digistorm itself, where you presented your early initiatives of the digital efforts. Thank you, Tony, for sharing so willingly all your learning. And you have been also very active across many platforms. I think you've been running a lot of learning efforts for the Indian pharma professionals. So I think that's one of the greatest strengths of the Indian pharma, is that the willingness of very, very senior professionals to give their time and share their insights and knowledge. And thank you, Peter, for facilitating that through DEPA. We have now a library of 60 webinars and question answer sessions. I think such an effort has not been undertaken before. So In closing, my request to both Mr. Sankar Das and Tony is let's keep the conversation going. And I'm sure that Peter would like to do a workshop with you that would help your team to understand what they have done in Europe very successfully. In fact, Ecopharm, along with Credo, was nominated for an Ecopharm award along with Pfizer and Sanofi. So, they have done some really good work. And I think sharing of this insight from these case studies would be the next step forward.
Well-known traditional formats such as newsletters, chats, webinars, they're very popular among pharma industry and overused from the industry with the communication of the doctors. But this overusage leads to big digital noise, low open rate, low percentage of the messages which are unread, and low viewership. In comparison to the traditional formats of communication, the innovative and interactive formats are much more interesting and I will pay more attention to them. They're so much more than just a video meeting and a follow-up newsletters after the meeting to the target group. Although video is important, key for digital communication is the orchestrated, balanced, continuous interactions with the doctors, which leads to multiple contact points with them. There are new generation formats such as virtual events, which can include a live stream with continuous asynchronous discussion between the doctors for 2 or even 4 weeks. Multiple brands can be communicated, as well as the whole product group can be promoted within such a virtual event, and this leads to more than 10 contact points with the doctors in one project only. Based on the community listening and the valuable insights which are generated, one virtual event can be continued in the next one, and a series of virtual events can be executed. Medical reps are able to continue the communication with the HCPs through video teleconferences, one-to-one or one-to-many with their target groups. All the insights, the community listening, all the feedback from the doctors, they can be used as a preliminary market research for a product launches or a new indication. All these interactive formats place the healthcare professional in the center of the communication. What does this mean? Personalized, according to their interest, interactions are valuable for them. Putting them in a neutral, interactive platform where they can discuss between themselves is valuable and gives them opportunity to gain scientific knowledge and also to conduct continuous medical education. In 1996, Bill Gates spoke for the first time and mentioned the popular phrase that content is a king. But nowadays, marketers are mentioning more about the context. What's the content without the channels, the distribution, and the formats? The content is not meaningful if it's not distributed in the right place to the right customer at the right moment using the right channels. That's why I'll stress more on the topic of the context. The context means to gather the doctors in a networking environment and to give them the opportunity to contact and to discuss with international QLs, to give them the opportunity to reach resources, virtual resources as a online virtual reference library on demand. Also, nowadays, the events need to be less product oriented, but more therapy oriented. And all this leads to a valuable information and e-learning programs with certification. But what are the digital formats without the metrics? In virtual interactions, everything can be tracked. We can also track not only the engagement towards one customer, but what's the engagement towards specific topic or the product which is communicated and discussed in a particular virtual event or project. All this information and data leads to better knowing our customers and to be able to analyze what are their digital preferences and to better segment them per channel or per content. Integrating this data with the CRM of your company or even the sales data, and after that analyzing and measuring the outcomes will make you managing the whole process more effectively and analyzing the sales effectiveness per product group and per customer. Why CredWeb is a new generation platform? First of all, CredWeb is a neutral platform aiming to gather all stakeholders in one place. But moreover, it's designed especially for the pharma industry. It's suitable for the different business strategies, for campaigns and products in the different life cycles. Metrics and analysis for the digital interactions can be analyzed through the inbuilt BI tool, business intelligence tool, which provides all the valuable analytics and data and can better analyze the outcome of every single event that you're planning within the CredWeb. It is all based on your needs, customized, and can be used on a regional, national, cluster or international level.
Thank you, Silviya. We as Ecopharm use CredWeb in our digital communication. I will give you one very good example. 2 years ago, we organized Virtual Cardio Academy, and this business case was nominated in the category ACP's initiative on i4 Pharma. Shortly, we organized during the year 10 virtual events, and we were able to engage 50% of all cardiologists in Bulgaria and 20% of GPs in the country. Roughly 5,000 doctors took part in these events. It was very active, interactive communication and valuable for the doctors. Speaking from business perspective, the impact of our business was very positive. All 16 products in the cardio portfolio of Ecopharm grow over the market. The market in this category was minus 6%. The growth in Ecopharm was 25%, so means that we were 31% over the market. And the most important is the profit of these 16 products was 129%. And then the key statement is that the future belongs to those that offer to HCPs customized educational content in the right personalized format. Thank you for your attention and stay healthy.
All of you. Thank you once again, Peter and Silviya, and most of all to my dear friend Deep for putting a wonderful structure to this discussion. Thank you. Thank you once again and have a great evening.
Thanks.
Thanks for the
Everybody.
invitation. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.